Hello, today I'm going to be talking about the worst books that I read in 2023. I know this video is a little bit later than everyone else's, but I just felt like I needed to wait until January to make these videos because I wanted to read every book that I possibly could in 2023 before making these videos. So best books is coming soon, but for right now, let's talk about the worst books that I read in 2023. First book on that list is The Dark Mirror by Juliette Marillier. This book follows our main character Bridie, who's being raised by a druid to become a king one day. But then one day while the druid is gone, he finds a baby at the doorstep and he takes it in. The druid is completely against him keeping this baby, but he does it anyway. He decides to raise this baby by himself. And the baby grows up to be this woman whose name I can't remember. And then at some point he ends up like falling in love with her, which is really fucking weird because he raised her. But we're supposed to act like it's not weird. So you can already see some of the issues I was having with this book. The romance I can't stand, it drives me nuts. But other than that, this book was so slow. Like remarkable. I've never read a book this slow. It was so boring. I think by like the 100-page mark I just started skimming every page, and that's how I ended up finishing the book. Which really sucks because I love Juliette Marillier. She wrote one of my favorite books ever and I've generally liked her work, but this one I just could not stand. Oh my god, this was an awful, awful book and I would never recommend it to anyone. The next worst book of 2023 is Binti. This book follows our main character Binti, who has just gotten the chance to join this like prestigious university, but to get there she has to take this spaceship, and this university for years has like warred with this alien group, and her spaceship is intercepted by these aliens. This is a very, very short book. It's definitely under 100 pages. And I was looking forward to it because I generally like this author, but my god, this book, it just drove me crazy because the conclusion was so easy. Like, there's this war that's been going on for, this is a little bit of a spoiler, so like if you don't want to hear it, just wait until another book is up on the screen. But there's been this war between this alien race and this like university for centuries, and it's like this horrible, awful thing. But all that needs to happen for it to be solved is for a young girl to like talk to the aliens, and the aliens are gonna understand. Like, it was just so juvenile. It drove me crazy. I couldn't, like, I had the second book and everything, but I couldn't even make myself pick it up. I just hated it. The next book that makes the list is A Deadly Education. This book follows our main character, whose name I don't remember, who goes to this magic school that's super deadly, but your chances of surviving are greater if you stay in school versus if you're untrained. So basically the school is just like constantly trying to kill you as you're trying to learn magic. And our main character is insufferable. She has no friends in the beginning, and all she does is whine, and all she does is talk about how terrible she is and how she has no friends. But then when people are like trying to be her friends, she's just so fucking annoying about it. I couldn't stand the main character. I thought she was so obnoxious. And then I feel like nothing happened for the vast majority of the book. Like, essentially in the beginning she's saved by this guy named Orion, but she hates Orion for saving her and she's so mad at him. But then they start like constantly being with each other, but like nothing happens other than like Orion saving her from stuff. And it was just boring. I don't get the hype for this one because a lot of people really like it, and I've tried to like hear people out and like understand. I don't agree with anything that's being said. So I'm definitely the outsider here, but I couldn't stand it. Next on the list is Blood Rights. This book talks about the origins and passions of war. I was excited about this book because I want to read more like sociology books, but the whole time I was reading it, I was just struck by the sense that everything was made up. Which, like, most sociological theories are, but this book, like, I just felt like the theory didn't have enough substance to really convince me, and it just felt like she was just stringing, like, it felt like she did some research and then like she forced all the research together to make her theory versus like coming up with it more organically. I don't know. I didn't like it. I thought it was really boring too. Where are you? Okay, the next book is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. This book follows two main characters, Yumi and Painter. In Yumi's world, she's kind of reviled. What's that word? I can't think of that word. I'm gonna skip it. She's seen as a god. And she travels from village to village and communicates with the spirits to get them to do what the villagers want them to do. And Painter lives in a world where nightmares come to life, and the only way that you can subdue them is by painting them and turning them into something else, and he is a painter. But then their worlds become linked when they wake up in each other's bodies. Painter wakes up in Yumi's body, not the other way around so much. This book makes it onto the worst list, partially just because I was so excited about it because it's Brandon Sanderson, and then it let me down so bad. First of all, this book has like humor. Like everything is supposed to be funny in this book, and it wasn't. It just made for awkward reading because the humor wasn't hitting, and the humor just didn't feel right for the tone of the book. Like there's serious like scary stuff happening, like with the nightmares and stuff like that, and then like Brandon Sanderson's just constantly cracking jokes. Like it didn't work at all. And then at the end there's like this grand romance, and the romance, like, you never see it coming. Like it seems like no effort was put into it until the very end when it's like, oh yeah, but these people are supposed to be together, and it's like, what are you talking about? There's no chemistry there whatsoever, and then just forcing them together at the end. So I did not like this. It was a major letdown. This is the most disappointing book I think of the year as well. Then after that, the next worst book of 2023 is Women Talking. This book follows a group of Mennonite women who are meeting in a barn. They're discussing, essentially, for a long time, they thought they were being visited by demons in the night that were attacking them, and then they found out it was actually the men of their community who were drugging them and then sexually assaulting them in their sleep. And so they're meeting this barn after all this has happened to talk about what should be their next steps, whether they should leave the community, even though they're illiterate, they've never been outside their community, they don't know where to go, or if they should stay there. I thought this book sounded really interesting, but in execution, it was so boring. Again, nothing was happening. They were all just sitting around talking about whether to leave or whether to stay. It was also told from the perspective of a man, which is weird because this awful thing happened to all these women, but we're getting like a male perspective on it instead of like hearing from the women themselves. It was also very like blasé about the sexual assault. Like awfulness of that was never really explored in any way, and everyone just talked about it very matter-of-factly, which I thought was odd, and it just was a boring book being made into a movie, and like I just don't have any faith that the movie is gonna be good either because the source material was so bad, so didn't like it. The next worst book I don't even have much to say about, and that is Bared to You. This is an erotica book. It was my first time trying something like this, and it did not go well. It just suffered from what I imagined to be like stereotypical bad things about the genre, where like the guy was like super aggressive and like kind of abusive, and the romance was just cringy, and it was just like a very, arguably very bad book. Like I don't understand how anyone could like this book. It was just terrible, and that's all I have to say about it. Next is a rather controversial pick, and that is Kim Ja-eun, born 1982. I think that's the year, right? I just have it written on my laptop. Yes, that's the year. This book is supposed to be an exploration of sexism in South Korea. So you have this character Kim Ja-eun, and basically every like sexist thing that can happen happens to her, and so she's supposed to represent like the average South Korean woman, but she has like every instance of sexism possible. This book people love. It's been talked about a lot, and I was really excited to get to it, but then I remember nothing about this book. Nothing at all. I can't tell you a single thing that happened in it, which really says something, because I can't act like I retain everything that happens in every book I read, because I read a lot. I usually remember something. Which is a very low bar to meet, but I do usually remember something from the books I read. And this one just did not make it into my brain whatsoever, so I have to make it a worst book of the year. Ow! Oh, I just accidentally opened a scab. That sucks. Okay, let's just keep going. Okay, and the last book on the list is The Seaplane on Final Approach. This book I read like early in the year, so my memory of it is pretty hazy. This book follows our main character Mira, a name I know only because I just read the Goodreads synopsis. I would not have remembered that otherwise. And she's this like complete loner who's obsessed with the idea of sleaze, which comes up constantly throughout the book. And she wants to like move to Alaska and find the fisherman of her dreams. So she finds this like Alaskan lodge that she can work at for the summer, and she goes there. But then I don't know, stuff happens. It's not really exciting or fun at all. She spends a lot of the book talking about like her aunt's stepson and like wanting to have sex with him. The whole concept of her being obsessed with sleaze just makes it so that like she's horny all the time. I just could not get into it however I tried. Like this book was the exact opposite of what I ever want to read ever. It was just bad. I did not like it. So there you go. Those are my worst books of 2023. Let me know what your worst books were down below, and I'll see you soon with another video. Goodbye!